All right. We're doing a Monday night recording. This isn't our
We
normal
don't have
day.
a normal
If
day.
you even it's true. Normally I avoid Mondays like the plague since they're my late day, but we have important things to
Yeah,
discuss.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
let's just get this out of the way right now. If you've listened to any of these before, then you're well aware that we discuss spoilers. But if you are listening to this episode as your first one, we will be talking about Avengers
Like everybody
Endgame.
else on the internet.
And Lord knows there are going to be
Well,
spoilers.
it's like half the
So,
internet we're talking about Avengers Endgame, and the other half is talking about Game of Thrones episode, the newest episode. So
I'm I'm probably going to bitch about that too, even though Zach doesn't give a fuck about
don't.
Game of Thrones. Anyway, welcome to episode 7, something like that.
Don't
I
ask
don't
me.
know. I don't really pay attention to numbers anymore. It doesn't matter. The numbers are all made up and the points don't
Ooh,
matter.
nice
Kind of like
reference.
Who's Line. There you go. So, anyway, how you been, Zach?
Same old, same old. It hasn't really been all that long since we last did this.
Yeah, we did. This is our quickest turnaround for recording. I'd say it's been like 4 or 5 days,
Yeah.
give or take. Yeah, nothing's really new. Same shit going on with the library and all that fun stuff. But the main reason that we are recording this episode, like I said, is Avengers Endgame. So we're pretty much going to get right into the nitty gritty of pop culture. We will be discussing Days Gone, because I did buy that.
I didn't know that.
I picked it up. We will be talking about Game of Thrones because I like
So,
it and he doesn't, and I need to bitch about it.
It must be the royal we in this sense.
We will also be talking about the movie that we watched, which was LA Confidential. Zach will give us his pick for his next one, but the all-encompassing theme of this is going to be Avengers. So just starting off, like I said, we're going to talk about Days Gone real quick. Yeah, I picked it up. I was on the fence at first, and the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I kind of need to come down from Division, you know. I play Sekiro on and off. Like, it's a game I very much play in bursts. And I was like, I kind of want to play Days Gone. I want to see where they're going with it. And I won't say that it's the best game I've ever played so far.
I've heard
if
like 6s and 7s are kind of what I've seen from a lot of like YouTube things.
I've seen like, I haven't seen 6s. I've seen 7s and 8s, but I don't really stick to YouTube reviews. It is very much a video game. That is the best way to describe Days Gone. It is a game.
That can have some harsh connotations. Because that's what I
it
say
is a
when that's what I
perfectly-
say about movies I don't like, and I don't want to be mean. It was a movie.
Well, why would you want to call a movie a video game, Zach? That's a
God,
terrible
God.
thing to say about it.
Yeah.
No, it's not a bad game at all. It's very pretty. Like, they did a
have
very
heard
good
that.
job, like, modeling Oregon. The weather is fantastic. The thing that stands out for me the most, and I can't think of a game recently other than maybe God of War. I didn't play Resident Evil 2, so you could say that could possibly be it. But this game has very good sound design. Like, the driving the motorcycle feels really good. It's with you only being able to drive one vehicle in this game, you can tell that they put a lot of work into making it feel real. And it's when you upgrade the motorcycle, like even tiny things, you feel it when you're
It's
driving.
pretty much your
it. And
horse, right?
That's,
Like it's the thing
Yeah.
that gets you places. You only get the one, and so you better make it good.
yeah. So like the sound design's really good. The map design is very good. Like there's a lot of forest obviously because it's fucking Oregon, but I feel like it's very, I don't want to say dynamic, but varied. Like I've only put like 4 or 5 hours into the game so far, and you have these, it's very linear and not linear at the same time. Like you unlock chunks of the map, kind of like old school Grand Theft Auto, where like you couldn't go to certain
okay.
areas until you do
So
certain
open
things.
world, but it's
And-
fed to you gradually.
Yeah, and I'm okay with
That's-
that.
I like that.
But the point of it is, certain chunks of the map, you have what are called infestations. Like you have to clear nests of these creatures, and you take Molotovs, you throw it in, burns the nest, the creatures pop out, they're all angry, you kill them, you clear the nest. Once you clear all of them, that part of the map is cleared of nests. Now you still have creatures you have to deal with. It's just one of like a dozen mini things you can do and collect. But this is all leading up to the area that I'm in right now. Actually, I played it this morning before I went to work. There's a lake you get to, and I'm clearing the nest, and I'm looking around, and I noticed there was a cave. So I go into this cave, and the game does lighting, like, in a weird but effective way. And I'm in the cave, and Deacon, the main character, who is the most white male protagonist ever.
Yeah, he sure is.
He's not a... I will talk about him in a minute, but, like, one thing I like is that he will actively comment on what's going on where you are in the world if something's wrong. So, like, if he thinks something's up, like, you shouldn't be here, he'll make a comment like, maybe I should come back here later after I clear the nest or whatever. And me and my infinite genius, I'm just wandering around like, okay, let's go look in this cave. So I go up and
that cave. Yep, definitely a zombie.
One of the
why aren't I turned around? Fucking monster in there. Someone listen the fuck up, God.
one of the things you have alongside the nest to deal with are hordes.
Oh, that's
and
from like the E3 trailers.
Are
right?
Yeah, one of the selling points of this game is how many enemies they get on screen at once. And I'm playing through the game on easy. One, because there's no difficulty trophy in this game, which I love, and two, because honestly, I've come to the realization that as I get older, I just want to play the game and enjoy the story. I don't give a fuck about difficulty.
Look, man. Days Gone should respect its players and add in anime titties.
There may be titties in there at some point. This game is pretty violent. But anyway, so I go into the cave and like 5 of these things chase me out, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, I can deal with that. And I go back in afterwards, like see if there was any loot or anything that was left there. And I didn't notice it at first, but those 5 were like the front part of like 300 or 400.
Oh.
And I'm like slowly backing out. And as I'm backing out, like the light's fading, and you just see like them. The movement of the hordes in the game is really interesting. It's almost like, you know how like birds move, like giant migrations of birds, like they move in waves in the sky almost? That's what they move like on the ground at times. And like in the lighting, I was like, that is beautiful and terrifying. Getting the fuck out of this
Back
cave.
Away, not today, disco lady.
Yeah, like it's... I don't know how I feel about the game right now. I need to play more of it before I come to like a final judgment on it. Like I said, my biggest complaints with the game right now is that the main character is dreadfully boring.
Is he?
Like I know I'm supposed to.
I've heard that like the story and the characters are kind of like one of the big pluses for this game is what I've heard.
Maybe the other characters, but not fucking Deacon St. John. First of all, his name is Deacon St. John. That's a porn star / Republican name. Like, he may as well be running for fucking House seat in Kansas with that kind of name. I can't bring myself to like him as a character because he's constantly bitching about things in cutscenes. And you're going from camp to camp and, like, talking to people, and the whole point is you're trying to get back to your wife. In the very beginning of the game, it shows you, like, how everything started, basically. And it's Deacon, and his best friend's name is Boozer, which I thought was fucking hilarious. It's them with his wife Sarah, and she's been injured. So it's like they get to the roof, there's this helicopter evacuating, like a military one. And Deacon's like, we need to get the fuck out of here. And the military guy is like, I only got room for 2 people. And, you know, Deacon obviously puts his wife on and sends him off. And then it's you with Boozer. And I think the game would have been a lot better if you would be able to actually play more with Boozer. Because very early in the game, Boozer does something stupid and is relegated essentially to voice in your head status. He doesn't die, but like you have this base on top of a mountain and you put him there to heal, and he talks to you through radio chatter.
Okay.
So it's just you by yourself. And maybe I meet more interesting characters. Like I said, I'm really early in the game, but right now Deacon is a very one-note character, and it's kind of bland, and I'm not feeling him too much, but the gameplay and the environment and everything else is keeping me in it. The other major complaint that I have is it is a survival light game. Like, you do have to craft things like bandages and shit. You do have to get...
I thought about tweeting this out earlier today because I was just thinking about it. It's like, nothing makes me go, ugh, in a game, like, more than press button to open your crafting menu. I fucking hate crafting menus in games now. I don't know why.
I really wish it wasn't. like a survival like game, but you get over it kind of quick. You hold L1 to open the survival wheel, and then you rotate between what you want to do. Once you get the hang of it, it's relatively intuitive, but this leads to the complaint that I was about to say. There's not a lot of variety in what you pick up. It's like the same 6 things. It's scrap, rags, kerosene, and like a handful of other things that you get. Once again, it's early in the game, and there may be more things, but my God, there are only so many times I can pick up scrap. Like, first of all, I can only seem to be able to carry 10 scrap at any time. Mm-hmm. And you use scrap to repair your bike whenever anything happens, which is all the fucking time. Enemies can snipe your bike and snipe you off it. They set up traps in the road where, like, they'll fucking clothesline you with a tripwire explosive. Doesn't blow your bike up, but drops it to 0 health.
Yeah,
so you gotta
I heard that
repair
thing's made out of paper mache in the beginning, but apparently you can upgrade it to make it better.
Mm-hmm. One thing I do like is, so let's say you find a melee weapon that you really like. Like, I've had a machete that I found for a while that's really powerful. Even though melee weapons have durability, you can repair them.
Okay.
So you can use scrap to fix it. You're not forced to pick a different weapon. Now, you can craft better weapons later on, but I've had this same machete for 4 out of the 5 hours I've played.
Huh.
So that's kind of neat that you're not forced to, like, constantly look for something like that. It's not a bad game. I feel like I'm ragging on it a little too much, but I would definitely say it's worth the purchase price right now. It's a fun game. I feel like there's a lot more the map is fucking gargantuan, so there's a lot more for me to do. But we'll see where it goes. This is going to be like The Division, where as we record, I will update my thoughts on it.
The only thing new I've played is I picked up the
is with yourself. With yourself.
I picked up this indie game on the Switch called The Friends of Ringo Ishikawa.
What's that
about?
It
is best way I can describe it. It's like in the style of like River City Ransom, you know, like that kind of like that.
Oh, I think I read about this on Kotaku the other day.
It is.
It's like a beat 'em up
ish. It is basically, best way I can describe it is Japanese high school delinquent simulator. So like that's the best way I can think of, because there are beat 'em up elements in it. Like you can be walking down around because it's like you've got this big map which you don't have a map to look at. You just kind of learn where things are.
Can you have a pompadour?
Oh, yes. Of course you have a pompadour.
Then there it is. Then it is clearly a Japanese delinquent simulator.
Like you have your buddies and you all like talk shit and like you fight the other like rival high school gangs that are roaming around. That's like where the beat 'em up comes in. But as you roam around the map, but like it gives you zero direction on what to do. It tells you what button it tells you what button to push.
That's interesting.
It tells you what button to push if you want to kick, if you want to punch, and if you want to jump. That's it. That is the only instruction it gives you, because you are left to go about your day however you want, with the exception of a couple like scripted, like you go to this area and like one of your friends is there, so it leads into a dialogue. You know, maybe you go hang out with them or whatever, but you know, it's up to you to go to class or get a job, keep up your grades if you want, save up money working, buy a console. Like Ringo Ishikawa is kind of like the, you know, he doesn't have any money really, just like lives by himself. He has to, and like some of the conversations get a little existential sometimes. Like it's just, I don't know. He's like a senior in high school, so he's like the time for him to decide if he wants to like continue his education or what he wants to do after high school is like coming up. So, but yeah, it's totally up to you. Totally up to you to do whatever you want in that game and play it how you want. It's really neat. I'm really liking it so far.
How much was it?
It's like $15. Like, I think it was. I think it's pretty much worth the price of admission. I don't know how long it is. It goes day by day.
I desperately hope that both Nintendo and Sony redesign their stores. Like especially Sony. Sony's like online store for the PlayStation is god awful. It's like a blender of fucking icons half the time. But Nintendo's is, for Nintendo having the newest online store, it's so hard to navigate that thing sometimes, and like I wish it had more intuitive menus, but that's pretty cool.
It's
Glad
a
you
really
like the
cool game. If you ever, I don't know, it's kind of a game you just kind of sit back and chill. Really good music too. I mean, some of the music's like so.
Did they announce the new PS Plus games? I completely forgot about that.
I honestly haven't looked.
I'm gonna go look.
I didn't look at any of the other ones, but yes, the Friends of Ringo Ishikawa, super good. I'm gonna be playing more and updating. Right now, I'm kind of in the game. I'm focusing on like getting my grades up and getting a job and doing responsible things and like not getting into fights with everybody.
Unlike your real
Yeah,
life,
I mean, fucking thug life, all day. But yeah, it's really good. I'm really like you don't want to get the shit beat out of you and your health go down to 0 in a fight, because that means that ends your day, and then you can't like do whatever the rest of your day to like study or go make money or go train or whatever.
it sounds like a dating.
It kind of
sim.
is. I haven't found any dating sim like attributes in it. Like I said, it's just like high school delinquent simulator. Dude, there's a button you hold down to stick your hands in your pocket and walk with like a fucking delinquent strut, like in fucking anime. There's another button where you just light up a cigarette. You can press it again to flick the cigarettes.
I would like to point out that
It's fucking great.
Fuck, what was the name of that?
I really like it.
Fucking Vanquish.
Oh yes,
Vanquish had a dedicated smoking button. I will never not mention that.
Yeah. There's just a button to like
pretty cool.
squat. You know the fucking thing that the delinquents do in anime where they like kind of squat down on their haunches and they just kind of sit like
Yep.
yeah, you can just do that and it'll make time go by just a little like a little faster if you need to speed up the clock. It's really cool. I'm liking it a lot. So, yeah. That's all I've really done.
Can't find anything specific on PS Plus.
They
just 'cause
may have
it's
not
navigating
announced them yet.
websites is a pain in the ass.
I don't know. Well,
Apparently, there's other free stuff that we get.
It's actually
I don't know.
in a couple days. I don't know.
Anyway, so not a lot of video game news right now. Let's see. I guess we should talk about the movie.
Movies, plural.
The movie. Well, let's talk about the movie that we watched before we get into Endgame, because that's going to dominate pretty much.
Oh, we're going to switch it up a little bit? Okay.
I think we're going to switch it up a bit.
LA
with this one.
Confidential.
Yeah, we watched LA Confidential.
I was mistaken last time when I said I had never seen it. I apparently did and completely forgot about it.
Yeah, so it took me 3 days to watch this movie.
I get you. There's a reason why I kind of forgot it.
I started it. I started it like relatively late one night. I think we made it like 45, maybe even like just a half hour into it, and stopped the movie. Was gonna come back to it. Wound up falling asleep. Next day came back, watched some more. Got like another 30 or 40 minutes into it. Realized that there was still another hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
It's a 2 hour
like
and something minute. Is what it is.
It's a long movie, and my problem with it is that I love detective stories. I love noir stories, especially set in this time frame, which is like the 1940s. It seemed like maybe 1950s.
This may as well have been what like LA Noir had been based off of, because there's a lot of LA Confidential in that game.
Yeah, the first 2 acts of this movie, I won't say they were boring, but my God, they just could not keep my it was my attention was just fluctuating
it was a little
rapidly
bit of a slog
with it. I was like,
sometimes.
I was like, this is interesting. I'd rather be doing something else. Like, it just wasn't clicking. But man, that third act, once things start clicking, I was like, okay, I'm getting into this. Like, and I think Mari kind of would agree with this. We're talking about like Confidential, how like the first 2 acts were kind of like riding a wave of interest and not interest, but that third act, once things really start like clicking and firing on all cylinders, it got a lot more interesting.
Yeah. It was like getting everything that you had as background noise brought forward, and you had like the Always Sunny in Philadelphia Charlie moment where there's like strings attaching to things.
Carol.
Yeah. So.
Speaking of background noise, we're gonna go back to talking, and we'll talk to you later. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, like it wasn't a bad movie. I really enjoyed the movie. It's just it's a lot to take in, and those first 2 acts for me were kind of a chore to get through. But you can give me your opinion on it, and then actually I'll give a summary of the movie, just so we get
it's
that
kind
out
of same for me. Like I said, I had apparently seen this movie before, and I think within the last couple years, and I just completely forgot that I did. And then I started watching, I'm like, this seems a little familiar. And, yeah, it's because I really didn't like it the first time I watched it, and I watched it again, I'm just like, yeah, about the same opinion. It just got so slow.
It's not as bad as fucking Deep Star 6, that's for sure.
That's advanced bad.
That's a horse of a different color.
This isn't just darkness. This is advanced darkness.
Advanced darkness. So, quick summary of the movie. As I'm sure you've picked up, this is I would call it a detective noir set in I'm assuming the 1940s. Honestly, I'm blanking on the dates. It could be the 50s. Probably the 50s.
Reaper Madness.
Talks about
Reefer Madness abound.
Reefer Madness. To try and summarize all of the plot threads in this movie would take me 40 more minutes. So I'm going to give you the briefest summary of this possible by saying that it is, I would say, 2 to 3 characters that we're following, and each of them have their own plots that come together toward the end. It is police corruption, murder, typical detective noir stuff. Really great cinematography.
Give the broad a backhand.
Stress.
Calm her down.
Yeah, right. You find out then your hooker's been cheating on you. What do? You give a 5 to the eyes, courtesy of Russell Crowe. Fighting around the world. Oh man, I wanted to sympathize with Russell Crowe in this because, I know that you shouldn't have a white knight complex, but I think that every half decent man, wants to beat the crap out of guys that hit women. Just common sense stuff like that. And that's what Russell Crowe was in this movie. He was the flawed air quote hero that apparently saw his mother get beat and murdered by his dad, and then his whole thing through the movie is he doesn't take well to women being abused, as nobody should, but especially him. He just goes off. And there's just this scene, toward the end, he finds out that this woman that he's been developing feelings for, who is a prostitute essentially, slept with another one of the main characters in the movie, and just double smacks the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And I just watching this in the movie, it was so out of place. I was like, that almost doesn't seem like it was supposed to be written into the movie. Russell Crowe just kind of improvised that. He was like, I've hit enough men in this movie. I think it's time for me to hit a woman.
I'm feeling a little uneven here.
Yeah, we need to balance it, Thanos. Endgame, we need to balance this. Yeah, it's...
Can you blame him? The broad had it
good
coming.
Movie.
Cha-cha.
It's really hard to summarize.
It's a police corruption movie. And what was I gotta look up the fucking people, because you talked about Russell Crowe.
What do you want to know? Because I remember pretty much
there was Russell Crowe's character. There was
Bud White, Detective Bud White.
Yes, Bud White was Kevin Spacey.
Are you talking about Guy Pearce?
The 3 was Kevin Spacey,
Kevin
Guy
Spacey.
Pearce, and
Jack Vincennes.
Yeah, Jack Vincennes.
Yeah, so let's talk about Kevin Spacey's character.
Look, when I was going through and
with
picking a movie, I'm like, well, I can't pick up Kevin Spacey movie, can I?
Yeah, if we look at what we know about Kevin Spacey now, and
so awkward.
What he does in the movie, it's really weird. So to quickly summarize Jack Vincennes as a character, he's not I wouldn't call him a corrupt police officer, because he's not really corrupt. He basically works with Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito's character has a trash mag, basically,
hush.
where it's on the QT and very hush.
Sid, right?
So Jack Vincennes, Kevin Spacey's character, will sell information to Danny DeVito's character about when they're gonna have like big like drug bust or whatever for celebrities, so that way Danny DeVito can come in and get the pictures and make Jack Vincennes look like an air quote hero or whatever. And halfway through the movie, there's a scene where Kevin Spacey is with Danny DeVito, and they're trying to frame the not the chief of police, like the head district attorney. And you find out that the head district attorney is gay, and they get this guy
He's
who
a swish.
was the I would like to point out that the guy that they got to try and frame the DA by like sleeping with him is the star from The Mentalist. And the only reason I know that is because I love Psych and they talk about that show constantly. So they get this guy who, I don't know his name, he's the star of The Mentalist, and he's a gay aspiring actor, to go and flirt with the head DA and like get him to go to this motel where they're gonna like break in and take pictures of them sleeping together. And Jack Vincennes has a change of heart. Like he decides he's gonna go and like warn the guy and the DA, like, you know, get out of here, they're gonna come and take pictures of you. So he goes to this motel and like he finds the Mentalist dead. I'm just gonna keep calling him the Mentalist because I don't know his name.
Just go with that.
So he finds the Mentalist dead in this motel, and that's what changes Kevin Spacey's character arc from being this like self-aggrandizing, you know, just I'm gonna make money off of this, to I need to kind of redeem myself. And his arc is him trying to figure out who killed this guy, just so he can kind of clear his conscience a little bit. And yeah,
And then like
it's just weird that like now that we know about Kevin Spacey and like what he's done,
big oof on that Kevin Spacey.
His character in this movie is trying to redeem himself by avenging the death of a gay actor who was murdered. Like,
I think the director put him in that.
it's a little weird. Well, there's no way they knew this movie was made like 20 years ago.
No, I think the director had
97.
some sort of hint and was like, maybe this will bring him up.
I don't think David Fincher. What didn't David Fincher do this? Just clear real quick. Hold on.
Who director?
I'm gonna look this up.
Curtis
Maybe Kevin
Hansen.
Spacey will feel bad about things that he's doing and maybe stop doing things I think he's doing.
Mari, I think I don't think too many people knew about this before.
Curtis Hansen is the director.
Curtis Hansen, yeah. Like I think you're overanalyzing a lot of this. There's no way most people knew about this kind of stuff.
Then there was
but
oh, go ahead. I didn't know if you were done with your
no, go on. That's pretty much it. I was just talking about how weird his arc was compared to what we know
my
now.
favorite was probably Guy Pearce, Ed Exley. Yes, he was probably my favorite in the movie.
Rollo Tomasi. Yep. I thought that was a nice little nod. Like, what is that name? I don't know. I made it up. Like, I like how that's how he knew at the end that was him. But I liked Exley as a character. Little goody two shoes. But
I kind of like that he's just like he's like oh, I'm gonna I'll turn over on these guys. The whole department's gonna hate you. Yeah, but I want Lieutenant Detective. And he's like, he didn't fucking care. He's there to climb the ladder.
He was playing the game,
I kind of liked his character
at the end of the movie. I like Guy Pearce in general. Like the acting in this movie alone is worth watching it for. Like everyone is on point, except for potentially, and I need to look this up because I always forget the fucking actor's name. Let me find this. James Cromwell, who played the chief of police, you know, Dudley Smith or whatever, the one that killed Kevin Spacey. I love James Cromwell as an actor. Man is phenomenal. But like I told Mari, his Irish accent would just drop in and out throughout that movie, and it was really throwing me off. Like, I swear for the first half of that movie, he didn't even use it, and then the last half, it's just boyo every other sentence. Like, oh, Hennepotton's last. Master Richie. What was it from it? Jesus Christ on a hopped up horse-driven chariot.
If you want to hear some heavy ass Irish accent, watch a 6-episode show on Netflix called Dairy Girls. It's really funny, but God, you almost need subtitles. Those Irish accents are so heavy. but go on.
Yeah, James Cromwell's weird accent kind of
Yeah.
threw me off, but yeah, the Guy Pearce was great in this. So was fuck, I'm blanking on his
Russell.
name. He was another one of the cops. I've seen him in something else. Well, I mean, yeah, Russell Crowe. I like Russell Crowe in general. I know he's kind of a one-note actor, but I cannot stress how much I love Gladiator as a film. I've never seen Master and Commander, so I don't know if that's any good. Did you pick Master and Commander? Is that the movie we're
No,
gonna watch?
but I mean, I know you've seen the movie I
damn
picked,
it.
but I haven't seen it. But I mean, if you want to do Master, yeah, I'll change it. I've never seen it.
I'm wondering what you picked. But anyway, we'll find out in a minute. Anyway, so yeah, LA Confidential, if I had to give this movie a rating, I would give it like a 7 out of 10. 7, maybe a 6. I'd say a 6.
Even after seeing this movie twice, I really didn't care for it all that much. Maybe it's just not really my jam. I don't know. I'd probably give it more of a 5 or a 6.
Yeah, I think 6 is a safe bet. It's a good film. It's not a great film. It has some flaws. But like I said, I'm a sucker for detective noir stuff. I always have been. So yeah, not a bad film at all. But before we get into Endgame, Zach, what movie did you pick?
I picked off the back of Guy Pearce, since I really liked him in this movie. I picked Memento, and I know you've seen it, but I've had the DVD for like.
It's funny because I just talked with Mari about Memento.
I've-
No, we can totally do
I
Memento.
picked up the DVD for that like 5 years ago because you recommended it. I never watched it, and I still have it. So I'm like, you know what? This is a good opportunity for me to sit down and watch Memento.
I think I own a digital copy of Memento. I'll have to check, but
I own it somewhere.
great. That doesn't help us at all with all of our shit being packed around. Like,
Somewhere.
thanks, Mari. Go back to your podcast. Anyway,
I hope she's listening
yeah, we
to
can do Memento.
Retrotainment.
I've only seen Memento. I think once. I've only seen that movie once, and it was years ago.
All right. Well,
So
cool.
yeah,
I'm-
totally. Memento's a good
all
one.
right. So now, Josh, the wait is over. We've seen the movie.
The sun
The
can
sun
set
can
on
set
a
on a saga.
on a grateful universe. Let's talk about Avengers Endgame, Zach. Let's just get this out of the way right now. Let's ask the obvious question. What did you think of it?
I really liked it, but I have issues, and I will get into those because I have statements, complaints, things to say.
Okay. By all means, go on.
I mean, did you like it? Before I get into it, because I'm going to
Yeah.
start rambling.
I liked it. Do it. Do your thing. I rant all the time. It's your turn to go on.
Well,
Do it.
okay.
Wait, you know what, Zach? I'll tell you what. Just to make this even better, why don't you give everybody a summary of
I was
Avengers
gonna
Endgame?
suggest that because I was gonna do the first bit and we could like switch back and forth.
Yeah, you
'Cause
can do whatever.
A good
Let's,
chunk of my issues
go
does
on.
come from like the beginning of the movie.
Do your thing. Go on. We'll talk about it.
So the movie opens up, right? Hawkeye is hanging out with his family, having like a picnic, teaching his like daughter how to be an archer and everything.
Absolutely love.
Yeah, it was a great scene, and then like she walks off screen, and he looks over to his family, asks her question, then he calls for her, she doesn't answer, then he turns around and then his family is gone, and it's a little heartbreaking because he didn't see his family get snapped away. I mean, that's
But you do see a little bit of the
Yeah,
dust, like from
but,
his
like-
daughter. If you look, you
but
see
like from
that,
his
yeah.
perspective, his family's just fucking like, where the
Gone.
fuck did they go? What?
I mean, honestly,
just
for
happened.
most of humanity, that's the way
Yeah.
it was. Because really, only the Avengers knew about Thanos.
So that and I like don't have a problem with that scene at all. The next scene is like the part from the trailer. Nebula and Tony Stark are adrift in I guess it was the Guardians ship, right? Was that what yeah, it was in the
Yeah.
Guardians.
I don't remember the name of the ship, but it was the Guardians of the Galaxy. ship, yeah.
They're adrift in space, they have it's been at this point something like 20 something days since the snap. They are running out of food, water, air's going to run out the next day. Tony is basically setting everything up for us, kind of telling you what has happened.
Records that message for Pepper, which fucking hit me like a truck.
Exactly. And then is also like, you see, this is the first problem I have. You see him like him and Nebula forming this relationship, right? Like they're kind of depending on each other to get the ship running and everything like that.
I love that they are fucking playing paper football.
Paper
like
football.
I haven't played that shit since middle school.
It was really cool. And all that. I'm like, oh man, awesome. They've developed a relationship. That's gonna come back later. Nope. Like they don't even talk to each other for the rest of the scene, and that kind of bothered me.
I don't. Okay,
It's a
need
nitpick.
to look at that.
It's a
from
nitpick. I'll grant you, it's a nitpick, but it felt
let me say this real quick before we go on. Like, I think that what that does is help you understand that Nebula is developing as a character as a whole, not necessarily bonding completely with Tony. And while we're this early in the film, I do want to say this because it's one of the first things I noticed was that one thing I really liked about this was almost every character that didn't get snapped that is a minor character in the Avengers universe almost played a larger role in this. And I really liked that. Like, it felt a lot more fleshed out. And yeah, except for Mantis.
Yeah, Mantis was in the background for one scene.
Oh, poor Palm Clementov. She's never gonna get that. But anyway,
that's just a major. I mean, that's a really minor nitpick. I would have liked to have seen that kind of expanded upon a little later, but I didn't. Whatever. Shut up. So Tony, he falls asleep dreaming of Pepper, as he stated he was going to. And
when I go to sleep, I'll dream.
He's in the cockpit, and he sees this light, and Deus Ex Machina appears in the form of Captain Marvel.
We already knew that was going to happen.
It fucking...
Is it bullshit? Yeah. Yes.
And then Superman carries him a few light years to Earth, I guess, when they had less than like 8 hours of oxygen. Maybe they made a pit stop. It was never explained. It's because so I saw that scene, and when that happened, I was like, uh-oh.
No, just keep going, man. You're getting into stuff I want to talk about now.
It was a big uh-oh there. So then they land on Earth. She basically, Superman tows his and Nebula's ass back to Earth.
Yeah, he triple A Captain Marvel's the Guardians of the Galaxy shit back to Earth.
So then they're back on Earth. Tony is like mad. He fucking takes the arc reactor off his chest. He's like,
great fucking scene,
great.
By the
He's
way.
like, you see, if you see Thanos stick this. It basically he hands them a Halo sticky grenade nuke, which also never comes into play.
I don't think he did it for that. He ripped it out because he was angry at them. He literally ripped his heart out. Because he was angry at Cap for like essentially abandoning them.
So great scene. He's angry. They're like, everyone's like, all right, let's go get Thanos. Let's kick his ass. We'll get the Infinity. We're gonna kill Thanos. Get the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, they got right into it. I was like, this movie's 3 hours long. You sure it's not 30 minutes?
They were like, we're gonna go kill Thanos. We're gonna get the Infinity Stones. We're gonna undo what he did. So they're like, where is he? Oh, he's on this Nebula's like, he's on this planet. He said when his work is done, he's gonna go like start this garden planet or whatever, just live a simple life. So they find him, they whoosh over there.
Fucking Thanos wipes out half of the universe and then decides to play Stargate.
Basically,
for the rest of his life.
He's like a little log cabin on this pretty little nature planet, right? And so they break into his house, chop off his arm, and they're like, where are the stones? And he's like, oh, I destroyed them. No, I destroyed them. That's too much temptation, and that way you can't undo what I did. Sorry, it's done. You can't take it back. And they're just like, no, that's not right. No, we're supposed to be able to fix it. And fucking,
it was time.
We're here. Where are the stones? No, I broke them, bitch. They're gone.
That's not fair.
And then
it's not fair at all.
And fucking Thor snicker snack, off goes Thanos' head. Fucking,
he didn't miss
this time. And and so they ace Thanos. And then it just boom, 5 years later. Time cuts 5 years later.
Jump.
And if let's. I mean, do you want to keep going or?
You can keep going. I'm just so far. I didn't have a lot of. We can go back and I can talk about some of this, or we can talk about it now.
I mean, honestly, two of those were nitpicks. The Captain Marvel thing really pissed me off because it pisses me off later too. But
Captain Marvel,
I knew you were going to end up agreeing with me on this too.
So after the 5-year jump, we go to. Even though I saw this movie Thursday, it's a lot to remember.
I saw it Sunday, so it's a little bit more fresher for me.
I'm pretty sure that after the 5-year jump, we go to the scene with Black Widow where she's sitting in the Avengers headquarters and talking to everybody on the hologram.
They're not doing as much avenging so much as they're just trying to put out fires at this point.
Yeah, and this scene right here has 2 issues with the movie that I really almost can't get over at times. I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. I feel like it was a great send-off.
I love the movie too. I just, have thoughts.
My nitpicks are not enough to ruin it, but let's talk about this scene. I will go into a little bit more in depth. You have Black Widow, who is essentially running point for the Avengers out of their headquarters in upstate New York, and over their little, the fuck am I looking? Hologram thing they have set up. She's got the I always forget the name of the Wakandan, the general, the female.
I don't
general.
remember her name either.
I love her character,
great.
but I never remember her fucking name. So yeah, she's in Wakanda, and they're talking about how there are earthquakes going on. And it's are you dealing with that as best as we can? They're fucking earthquakes. I love that response. Are you handling that? They're fucking earthquakes. We just let them do their thing.
Yeah. And Rocket's in another one.
Yeah, Rocket's off dealing with shit, and then you've got Captain Marvel, who shows up with a brand new haircut, and she's like, there's a whole great big universe, and I have other shit I have to handle. There are other planets dealing with this kind of stuff. They didn't...
fucking JoJo's meme that I love so much. It's just all right, bro, I'm about to head out. And it's just him walking towards the door. That's basically what Captain Marvel did. She dips out.
My favorite reaction to this is actually it's almost every complaint I have with this film are things that I've read or watched other people talk about. It's really funny how almost all of the complaints line up. But my reaction to Captain Marvel's scene, which is this, I will tell you right now before we go into the reaction. Captain Marvel basically says, there's more than Earth to deal with. Great. Okay.
Later.
Go do your thing. And then literally Captain Marvel and Red Letter mentioned this, Red Letter Media did this in their review, and it's exactly what it is. She gets poochied out of half of the movie. Just that scene from The Simpsons where it's the reel of her lifting up, that's her.
I
She's
have to go
gone.
now. My people need me. That's exactly what
you do not see. You do not see Captain Marvel again until the end of the fucking movie.
Deus Ex Machina's back into the movie to fucking win button her and then fucks off again. Because
honestly,
they made her so OP. They made a whole movie to make her OP and they don't use her.
But the funny thing is she hasn't even tapped into all her powers. Captain Marvel's powers are virtually unlimited. And even what she has in the MCU is a fragment of what she can do.
But Misty said,
they with her being in this movie, they put her, they filmed her scenes with Endgame before they made the Captain Marvel movie, which is why you have when she first shows up, after she rescues them and she's got her normal hairstyle or whatever, that was the first scene she ever recorded as Captain Marvel, which is why she looks like that. And then later, she's got more of the hairstyle that we know for Carol Danvers. They did that later. What I think they should have done, and call me fucking crazy, they should not have released the Captain Marvel movie before Endgame. I feel like they should have shown Endgame, had teasers for this character in it, because that's basically what Captain Marvel fucking was a teaser in this. I feel bad for any little girl that went into this movie legitimately expecting to see a ton of Captain Marvel. It really was a cock tease, or what's a clit tease? It's essentially a clit tease.
God damn it.
I heard
Like-
Mario in the background there. God damn it.
I knew this was going to happen. I knew it. We even talked about this in the last one. There's no way for Captain Marvel to have existed in that film for more than the time that she did without it completely breaking
If
everything.
you don't even stay
And-
till the end of the Captain Marvel credits, you don't even know that she ever meets up with the Avengers. That was an end credit. That was an after credit thing.
So, just to recap
So,
this,
yeah, go on. We're still
Captain
on this.
Marvel, she's like, I need to go take care of the whole fucking universe. I don't have time to just deal with Earth. Which makes perfect sense. If she is handling all of this, there's no reason to believe that she's just going to deal with Earth. But one thing we forgot to mention before the fucking, I forgot to mention it, before the Black Widow scene is we forgot to talk about the single greatest hero in this movie. Zach, can you tell me who the hero in this movie is? Because it's not Captain America. It's not Iron Man. It's not Thor. Can you tell me who it is?
Ant-Man.
Mari knows. No, it's not
'cause
Ant-Man. It's the fucking rat that got him out of there. If that rat would not have walked over those buttons, we wouldn't have even had the fucking movie.
Yeah, there was a scene where like it's like the fucking
There's-
shitty
okay,
van that they use.
Let's rewind
Yeah,
real quick. So we talk about the end of Ant-Man and
Wasp.
The Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Thank you. So at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, the post-credit scene for this is Scott Lang is going into the, what's the term for it? I forgot. The multiverse.
The
they go into?
microverse,
I'm
I
blanking
guess.
right now.
I don't.
The
What's it called?
micro. I don't know. It's Adam stuff.
The quantum space. Quantum realm.
Well,
Quantum
yeah,
realm.
I'm about to
That's
say
it.
quantum tunnel.
Quantum
almost,
realm,
but-
yeah. So anyway, it's Scott Lang going into the quantum realm to experiment, and they've got Michael Douglas, Hank Pym, and then
The
His
the
wife
Wasp,
And the daughter.
whatever.
whatever,
it
like
was.
the Wasp there or whatever.
Oh, is the daughter.
The daughter wasn't there. It was
there?
no, she wasn't. It was just those two at
Anyway,
the terminal. Remember?
he goes
So
in.
shut up, Zach. I'm arguing
Jesus
with my wife.
Christ.
All three of them. But anyway.
So anyway, they're experimenting with this machine at the van, and it's him going in, and they're like, he's like, all right, you got to pull me out in a minute, and then the snap happens, and you find out that the Wasp and Hank Pym got, fucking gone,
Got dusted.
like they're not there anymore. So Scott got stuck in the quantum realm he was in there for the whole 5 years, but for him, what did he say?
He
It was
said
like
it was
an
like
hour
5
or
hours.
something?
Yeah, it felt like that.
Like 5 hours or something like that. The only reason that Ant-Man, Scott Lang, got out of the quantum realm is because his van got impounded, got put into like it almost looked like a storage unit, but who puts a car in a storage unit?
I don't
that
know.
big?
A lot of shit went down in 5 years' time. Who knows?
And then a rat crawls over the dashboard and just so happens to flick the switch
In the right pattern.
in the right pattern that spits Scott Lang back
Yup.
out of the quantum realm. We would not have had this movie if that rat had not crawled over the dashboard of that van. Let's just make this crystal clear. That rat is the hero that no one will ever talk about.
Hashtag not all rats.
Hashtag not all rats.
all-
Like that to me was the funniest
Yeah.
thing ever.
And it
Just
very,
that
and very like Ant-Man. Like it's very much like, oh yeah, of course this shit would happen.
and that's another. I really liked Ant-Man's scene there, like when he's looking at the memorial and looking for his
Yeah,
daughter,
he's
and then
walking down
realizes
that
she's alive,
fucked
and
up
that
street.
It's been yeah, and then the one kid goes by on the bike and it's like fucking something from Turbo Kid. It's like, kid, what happened here? That kid saw more shit in his eyes than some horror movies I've seen.
But
Like,
but yeah, his daughter didn't get.
but yeah, like, and then he meets up with his daughter, and it's been
Yeah,
5 years.
she's like a teen,
since he's seen her.
you know.
Yeah, and I really like that. Like, goddamn, dude, Paul Rudd was so good in this movie.
Paul Rudd is just good.
Yeah, he really was great in this. Anyway, so that happened before the Black Widow thing that we're talking about. So she has her meeting with everybody there, wraps up. Captain America has his little powwow session. He does like
Yeah, he does a
group therapy
support groups
thing.
for people who get snapped.
With the directors.
Which I would like to point out that aside from Joss Whedon, all of the directors of the Marvel films were in this movie at some point, and that was the first scene. The gay guy who was sitting next to Captain America, the one talking about the guy he went on the date with, that was one of the Russo brothers. So That's the first one, and then obviously Taika Waititi is Korg with Thor later on. But yeah, so Captain America shows up and he's talking to Black Widow about, like, you know, all we can do is survive. And then he talks some shit about, like, I saw whales going across the bridge. Maybe it's good that all this has happened. And Black Widow's like, shut the fuck up. God damn it, Steve, you're a jackass. Maybe not those words verbatim, but that's what she was thinking. And then fucking Paul Rudd shows up. Just that's it's the scene from the trailer where he's like,
oh, we
let
met
me
at the
in."
airport. I was the big guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he breaks in and eats Black Widow's peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yeah.
So hungry.
Yeah, right? Hasn't eaten in like fucking 5 years. So he comes in, and this is where we see the genesis of the concept of this film, which is time travel.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I like this movie so much, because it's a time travel
we're both
film.
suckers.
It's a time travel heist.
We're both
film.
suckers for time travel.
But
he basically what he did.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I was only time moves differently. We can manipulate, like, moves differently in the quantum realm. We can manipulate that. We can go back, get and like undo what Thanos did. Like, go get the infinity. We could be time heist. Like,
I do love how fucking they shoot down all of the classic time travel movies.
Oh, yeah.
Like Time Cop, Back to the Future.
they didn't mention Looper though. I don't think. But Time Cop is
Yeah, they
the
fucking
better.
mentioned Hot Tub Time
Yeah.
Machine, Great White Buffalo. Yeah, so this sets up the basis for it, where he's talking about how we can use the Pym particles to go back and change all of this. And this leads to them going to try and convince Tony to come back and, help them go back in time.
Tony already has made himself a family, got himself like a daughter and everything with
Morgan, who's part of the comics.
with Pepper Potts, and they got like a nice little cottage and everything. And he's like, he lost some friends, you know. He thought he lost like everyone else did, but he's got himself like a whole family now, you know. Like, he's got more to lose now if they undid it than most people.
I love you 3000.
Yeah.
I love you 3000. God damn it.
But yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
we can undo it. And he's like, but like, I'm good. I'm content. But
And then in typical Tony Stark fashion, he's totally
he
not
sees
content.
he sees the picture of him and Peter Parker, and he's like, and it's just like he tried to keep the kid out of it, and the kid didn't stay out of it, and now the kid is gone because of him, and he's like, and then he's just like, hey, I figured out time travel. See that Mobius strip? Yeah, I did that.
That was a great scene, like him sitting there with Pepper, and she's just like reading a book about something. He's like casually
in Tony Stark fashion.
So I created time travel. Like, they're just sitting there. It's like normal conversation. Like, Mari and I could be sitting here talking about something fucking video game related. You and Misty could be talking about a comic book. Fucking Pepper Potts is sitting there like, this is a really interesting book. Tony Stark's like, yeah, I just fucking broke quantum theory and made time travel. Like,
no big deal.
and for me, one of the most satisfying things about this movie was seeing the how far Robert Downey Jr. has taken this character.
He's made that. He's made all the films for me. Like, all the ones he was involved with, like, he's made them.
Iron Man was my superhero growing up. Like, that's what made a part of this movie that much harder for me to watch. But like, when I was a kid, Iron Man was my super fucking hero. I love that shit. And it was really satisfying and cathartic on a level to see this movie. But I really like that scene in general. Like, seeing Tony finally get what he wanted, even though it had to come out of the hell that was the snap. But getting back to the summary, Tony fucking creates time travel.
But
and then
we skipped a scene though. We skipped the Hulk.
Are you talking about the fucking diner?
They gotta go find Bruce Banner, who has managed to find a balance between being the Hulk and himself at the same time. He is Smart Hulk. He is 90. He's like fucking 80s, 90s Smart Hulk, and it's great.
It's a little jarring.
It's kind of weird because he's in regular clothes, and he's actually getting to play like Bruce Banner. It's just he's huge and green. Kids getting pictures taken with him. He does Hulk dab.
Getting used to. You want to take a selfie with Ant-Man? Nah, he doesn't want to take a selfie with Ant-Man. No, he wants to take a selfie. He doesn't want a damn selfie.
He's literally saying no right now. But yeah, they try to convince Hulk as well to go fucking do time travel as well.
Yeah, because they figured that Bruce Banner might understand this more, but obviously that's not his realm of expertise. So then he's like, no, but I do know who can do it, and that's when they go to Tony, and all this goes down.
Hulk dab.
Hulk dab. So obviously Tony can't sit on this discovery. He does decide to go back, and that's what leads to, I guess you could call it almost a montage. I guess we should finally talk about the character that has probably had the hardest time dealing with Thanos.
Oh,
which was
and Hawkeye.
Our no, we're not gonna fucking no, we're not there yet. We have to talk about our beloved God of Thunder.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So Thor, and Mari made this comparison, and I don't completely agree with it, but the visuals are very similar. Like, she had mentioned that like Thor made her like reminded her of the town reminded her of Aquaman because it's like a seaside fishing village.
Yeah, New Asgard.
I think it's impossible to have a seaside village that doesn't remind you of Aquaman because they all look the same.
But yeah, they gotta go get Thor. And he's in a little fishing village they set up with all the remaining Asgardians that survived Asgard and the snap. Have made this little community.
Man, fucking the Asgardians have seen some shit.
And it's fucking Thor is hanging out with what's the Taika Waititi's
Corgan Meek.
Yeah, he just hangs out with them all the time, drinks and plays Fortnite. Well,
they play fucking Fortnite,
Did you see Macon?
Junin had no interest in seeing this movie, but the minute I saw fucking Fortnite pop up, I was like, yeah, he's gonna want to see this.
Dude, I don't know if you saw, we have a friend named Macon who just hates Fortnite. And he's like, half of the universe got snapped into oblivion and Fortnite still exists. And I'm just like, I just love that.
Macon hates everything that isn't fat animated.
Yeah, but yeah, God of Thunder is little PTSD. He's gotten a little schlubby, just hangs out in sweats and
just call it what it is, man. He's the fucking big.
He got the dude treatment. Fucking long ass hair, Wayfair sunglasses, sweatpants, double layer like sweatshirts. Got fat, man.
So let's pause the progression here real quick so I can ask you a question about this, because this is one of the complaints I'm seeing online is regarding Thor and how the movie approached mental illness, because clearly Thor has PTSD and they seem to make it one long running fat joke with his weight. And I don't completely agree with this. I feel like, yeah, there are fat jokes here and there regarding Thor, but I mean, there are also moments where we like see that he's visibly having a hard time with this. It's not just one giant joke. But I wanted your opinion on this.
Yeah, I didn't really see it as one big fat joke. I mean, Thor has always kind of been a little bit of the comedy relief anyway, and now
after Thor Ragnarok, it's a lot more comedy.
Yeah, and he's still like kind of bringing the funny and everything, like yelling at the kid over the headset in Fortnite and like threatening his life and shit. And but I don't know, like it didn't really offend me. People are always going to find something to get really offended by if they look hard enough. I didn't see it as all that offensive personally.
Well, there are other things that I will bring up. Actually, to rewind, one that I read today, which I thought was a little heavy-handed, the article. They complained that the only gay character that has been introduced in the MCU was the one in that session with Captain America, and they complained about how that was handled.
I mean, you can't be inclusive with everybody. It's impossible. You can't make everybody happy.
He was a minor character in one scene of a movie with like 100 fucking superheroes. I once again feel like we're just seeing people get angry arbitrarily.
I mean, there are some imbalances. The female characters generally just kind of get pushed aside in this movie. Like,
yeah, and
there's some imbalances, to make no mistake.
There's a scene later on toward the end of the movie that we will talk about, specifically involving female characters, because I feel like it was shoehorned in there.
Agreed. That's another thing.
We'll get back to that.
We'll get to it.
So anyway, they go get Thor. Well, they try to get Thor, and then they tell him there's going to be beer on the ship, and that's how they get him to come out. Like, I was kind of hoping there would be... That's something I didn't really like. I was kind of hoping there might be a little more of, like, an emotional moment there. I really liked when he told Thor, please take your hand off me. Like, that almost happy voice with Bruce Banner where you know he would just fuck him up. But I was hoping there'd be a little more development there with Thor, like, wanting to go with him, not just there's beer. You know?
Yeah.
That... minor gripe, nothing that ruins the movie. So I will let you take it up from here, since you had mentioned Hawkeye, and I think
that's what happens next. It's starting to get starting to get a little cloudy. I mean, the movie was 3 hours long. But yeah, it cuts to Japan. A shadowed swordsman is just fucking up Yakuza and like gang bosses and everything, and just killing dudes. It's fucking Ronin. Ronin is here, and who was it that shows? Was it Scarlet Witch or not Scarlet Witch? Fuck, Black Widow rather. Black Widow shows up and she's like, whatever. I knew you. Figured I'd find you here, and he takes off the hood, and it's Hawkeye, and he's just taking his anger out on crime with a katana. And it's pretty fucking cool.
There's a really interesting scene earlier on that we didn't mention.
Yeah, there's a lot. We're probably gonna miss something between the two of us.
But there's a scene earlier with the holograms in Black Widow where like Rhodey is on the hologram, and everyone kind of hangs up, but Rhodey's still there, and he's talking to her about like we tracked him to Mexico. We found a whole bunch of cartel bodies.
Yeah.
Just, like massacred basically, and she just tells her like find out where he's going. And it's just interesting that Hawkeye, this almost minor character throughout most of the films, is now just murdering the hell out of everyone.
He's fucking
that's a
lost it.
in this world.
He's just all in now. He's like, I'm not gonna be able to bring my family back, but I can hit the bad guys where it hurts. Their heart.
Yeah, kind of like the Punisher. So yeah, Black Widow goes to get Hawkeye. There's really nothing special about that.
That's pretty much the scene. They recruit him.
Yup, and then they go and they get everyone back, and they start formulating this plan to go back and get the Infinity Stones. And I'm not gonna lie, like the time travel explanations in this movie, they happen in chunks, and it's kind of hard to follow all of it at points. But the short of it is, we're gonna summarize real quick what they do. They realize that they have to go back and get the Infinity Stones, and that throughout the course of all of these Marvel movies, that the stones have been in certain places in certain timelines.
Like 3 in New York. There were 3 of them in New York at the same time. The Soul Stone is on that one planet, and I don't remember what the other 2. Where were they? They were on that other planet where the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy
was on the planet
1.
with Peter Quill in the beginning of the Guardians of the Galaxy. The other one is on the Death Planet. 3 of them were in New York. And which one are we forgetting?
Thor.
Oh, one was in Asgard.
Oh yeah, Asgard.
Inside Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, inside Natalie Portman. That's right.
God, how much? How much do you think they paid Natalie Portman to just get out of a bed? Because she didn't want anything to do with those movies anymore.
Yeah, how much did they pay her? I'd probably say like 500 grand just for that scene, maybe a flat million.
Like,
I
you
don't know.
even have to say anything. Just get out of bed. That's all you had to do.
Just come in here, just show up, get groped by a CGI raccoon, voiced by Bradley Cooper. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
We're done.
But yeah, back to the present, because we're getting in the future, but we're about to get in the past.
Yeah, so they break into teams to go into the past to try and get these stones. And they realize they only have enough Pym particles for everybody to make the trip back.
Yeah,
to
one
the
round
past,
trip
and
each.
then the trip to the present. That's it. That's all you get. Which is a big problem I have with the end of this movie. Like, it might be the biggest problem I have with this film. We'll get to that later. So we're going to summarize all these very quickly, because if we go through all of the trips, it could take a while. The short of it is that they all go back. Most of them accomplish their objectives.
Yeah.
Except for Tony loses the Tesseract.
Yeah.
To Loki, and then they have to go back again in time
To like the 70s, to like Shield in the 70s.
Yeah. So they use their trip to go back into the future to go back further into the past to go out to when
Pym first
basically
invented
they
the
were
Pym
working.
particle.
Yeah, because they realized that Howard Stark and the Tesseract were going to be in the same area as Hank Pym and the Pym particles in one part of the timeline. So they go back to do that, and that was I really liked that scene, like him getting to interact with his dad, and then, Cap getting his chance to see
he had a hippie beard.
Agent Carter, Margaret.
What was it? Fucking Bee Gees, or what was the other one? Was it a Bee Gees beard or something else beard? Fuck, I don't remember.
The guy that plays Tony's dad, I can't remember his name, but he always plays the same kind of character. He's in Mad Men. He's one of the main characters in Mad Men.
Just being an 80s guy.
Just that's more like a 60s guy.
Yeah.
Or a 40s, 50s, 60s guy. But that was a really great scene, like him getting to talk to him.
It's a great scene, and it wasn't even like "I love you, Dad" kind of thing. It's just like, my father was always hard on me, but I realized that he was just trying to make me a better person and all that stuff. And just, I don't know, it was a nice little touching scene.
Yeah, like you got a lot of closed loops, pardon the time travel pun in this. And then you have like War Machine goes back with Nebula and gets the stone, but Nebula doesn't go back. That leads to part of the movie that we'll talk about in a bit. I think everyone else gets their stone, right?
Yeah, Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch go to the Death Planet. I'm not Scarlet Witch, Black Widow. Why do I keep doing that? Black Widow.
We're going to talk about that one in a minute, because that's one of my big problems with this movie.
Okay.
But I think everyone else gets their stone, right? Like Thor and Rocket get their stone.
Hulk goes and talks to the
Master
Sorcerer
from
Kate
Blanchett,
the immortal,
the Sorcerer Supreme at the time, or whatever.
Yeah, or like the immortal, whatever title was. Yeah, that was a cool scene, because he goes up there. He's like, "I'm gonna need that stone." And she's like, "Fucking astral punch you out of the Hulk." And and that was a really cool scene, because it does like a kind of a callback to Infinity War, because she's like, "I'm not gonna give this to you." It's like, well, where's Stephen Strange? He is still being a doctor. He's not going to be Sorcerer Supreme until later. And they're
you're like 5 years too late for this, or 5 years too early. And that was a really cool scene, because it's really hard to describe this without getting into weird time travel dynamics, but you have this character who's going to become a villain that isn't quite a villain yet, but is talking to a future version of someone who is trying to convince them to give up this thing they're meant to protect, talking about the person that is going to beat them and take their title.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
And basically he tells her like Doctor Strange, Stephen gave up the time
and
stone.
She's like, "Oh shit."
And that's when
really? He's going to be the best of us.
If he did it, he did it for a reason.
And she's like, all right, well, here you go.
And that's... Yeah. I really like the scene, by the way, when, like, she makes the timeline with, like, the energy, and then Bruce comes up and is like, but if we do this, and, like, it's him, like, manipulating it and shit. I thought that was kind of cool. The whole scene, I wanted more with those two. Like, I liked that scene. Just to quickly go into Asgard, Thor goes back with Rocket to get the stone
that was another good
Jane
scene.
has.
Though it made me think about Thor.
We're just
going to
ignore
again.
Jane.
Fucking movie.
Yeah, like even Thor Dark World, the weakest of the MCU films, somehow gets a good callback in this.
Yeah.
Like, Thor basically gets to have his like good final moment with his mother, and I really like that. It was a good scene.
She's just like, she goes, she's like, you're not my son from now. You know, you're from the future. I was raised by witches. I've seen some shit. I know what to look for.
Yeah,
and
I love that. She's like, the future's been hard on you.
Yeah,
and
dude, that was the same
line she uses.
Oh my god, when she says that, I'm like, it was the same thing for like Into the Spider-Verse, when just like a different dimension, Aunt May just like, Peter, the world has been hard on you. Like that.
I really like when she told him,
bit.
though, it was like don't be the man you think you're supposed to be, like be the man you know you're gonna be, or something like that. I really like that. I like that kind of closure with Thor there, where you can like kind of feel it coming up, and then fucking Rocket shows up and there's like the comedic relief and all that, but they get their stone. And then that leads to...
right before he dips out, though, right before they warp out of there, after they got the stone out of Natalie Portman's ass, he fucking just holds out his hand.
Mjolnir.
Fucking Mjolnir whips back into his hand. He's like, I'm still worthy. And I was like, yes. So he's got...
He gets Mjolnir back, which leads to the scene later in the film that almost half of the theater we were in was cheering. So let's talk about Black Widow and Hawkeye on... I don't think it's called Vormir. I can't remember I know Vormir was one of the planets, but it's the planet from Infinity War where Thanos kills Gamora to get the Soul Stone. So they climb this mountain and
Red Skull's up there.
Talk to the Red Skull I still don't understand why the Red Skull...
I don't either. I think he even explained it in Infinity War and it still didn't really mesh all that well, but
I don't fucking know. But it's Hugo Weaving, and that man's great.
Sure.
So I'll accept it.
Yeah,
So we all know how the Soul Stone works. You have to sacrifice
something that you love.
Something you love to gain access.
A soul
to
for
this
a
stone.
soul, if you will.
And I hated every moment of this scene. I could not fucking stand it.
Because both of these characters are kind of like whatever, and you're just like, I'd be fine with either one of them gone.
I don't care about either of them. Like, I will say that, like, Black Widow had better character development in this movie than almost any of them. Like, I started to kind of empathize with her as a character. And Hawkeye had better character development in this movie. I started to, like, empathize with him more as a character. But you're taking these two characters who are arguably the weakest links in the Avenger chain, and you're putting them in a situation where they have to sacrifice something which turns out being themselves to save the other, to get the Soul Stone. And it felt tacked on to me. I didn't feel like they were actually sacrificing.
And they had like a fight who was going to sacrifice, who was going to be the one to be sacrificed.
Yeah. And then they kept fucking doing it. Like, Black Widow punched him and went to go jump, and he shot an arrow that exploded and knocked her out. And then he went to go jump, and then Black Widow like looped something to him and jumped off. And it's the typical scene where like his grip is slipping, and Black Widow falls and sacrifices herself, and that's how Hawkeye gets the Soul Stone.
I think it should have been Hawkeye, because there was so few used female characters in this movie as is, and then they kill the one that's been in there for arguably the longest, and I'm just...
What I'm really curious about is she's supposed to have her own movie. So does it take place before all this? Is it like a prequel that explains her history? Is she supposed to be getting her own movie?
I hope it...
Yeah, the Black Widow movie's been in development for a while. I did
not know that. I always thought it might be an interesting one.
Part of Phase 4.
Because it'd be a cool, like, spy flick. But...
Yeah, that's supposed to come out, and I guess it's going to be a prequel now.
I guess so, because
she's dead.
She is not snapped. She is dead.
Like,
She's Uncle Ben dead.
I couldn't stand that scene. It felt hacked on. I would have rather there been another character there, either with Hawkeye or with Black Widow, to have more like emotional impact.
I guess
for that
because
moment.
they've been friends for so long, they went on like they've went on assignments together and everything, and they're like been friends for a long time. So I guess they have that connection to make it make it
they
mesh.
have that connection as written
Yeah.
characters, but us as fans, we never really experienced
Yeah.
that. Maybe if the Black Widow movie would have come out before
Mm-hmm.
this and like we saw that, it might make more sense. But like in this movie, I'm just like, you killed the attractive one. Thank you.
Yeah, I would have
Great.
preferred. I would have
Awesome.
preferred Black Widow to Hawkeye, but you know.
So rewinding a little bit, one thing that we need to talk about because of what leads to important parts of this film is Nebula teaming up with War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
So Nebula teams up with War Machine to go get one of the stones. I honestly can't fucking remember which one because the only one I remember is the Soul.
I remember
Stone
the
and
Soul
Tesseract.
one, and I remember the Time one. That's it.
So, oh yeah, because that's the green one, so that makes sense. So they go to get this stone, and War Machine is getting ready to warp back with it, and he goes back, but Nebula doesn't.
She has like a glitch or some shit.
Like a breakdown moment, which is kind of a nod back to Infinity War, where we see like, and also parts of Guardians of the Galaxy, where like we see her kind of glitching because of all the parts she's made up of.
She's a cyborg lady now.
This is when we find out that fucking Thanos in this timeline can essentially tap into that Nebula's thoughts.
Yeah, they're kind of like
through the
linked
nebula that
because they're on the
exists
same
with him right
system or they're on the same network or whatever. So they kind of are switching
Yeah, it's-
transmissions and shit.
It's two characters existing in the same universe,
Yeah.
so like their thoughts are kind of linked in the first place. It's just he has the ability to see it through her. So this is what leads Thanos to realize that they're trying to change the timeline because in their timeline he's succeeded.
And he's like,
So-
oh shit, I succeeded. Well, fuck it, let's just take the time stones from, or the Infinity Stones from them.
Yeah, so that leads to a whole bunch of shit that I'm not going to really explain because, first of all, you should see the movie.
Yeah, they capture Nebula, past evil Nebula switches places with good Nebula and goes back to the future.
Yeah, to set everything
And like
up,
sabotage and
there's
all that shit.
Yeah, and then there's this scene where another complaint I had where, so Thanos shows up in the air quote present where everyone has the stones and nukes them from fucking
Ground
orbit.
zeroed that
Like-
shit. Like,
How the fuck anybody survived this shit makes
Plot
no
armor,
sense to me.
dude.
Also, we completely
Plot
forgot to
armor.
talk about Ant-Man's tacos.
oh
We
yeah,
should have
fucking
talked about
poor
Ant-Man's
guy.
tacos.
Fucking ship landed, blew all the shit out of his tacos. But you know what? Hulk is a bro and brought
Anyway.
him 2 more.
Brought him a fucking taco. Anyway, that's a completely different thing from earlier
God,
in the
lots of
movie. I just
tacos.
wanted to mention the taco. So Thanos shows up, rains fire on the Avengers base in New York, obliterates it. It is gone.
Yep.
And somehow everybody fucking survives. Everybody fucking
Dude,
survives.
fucking Hawkeye is fucking running from monsters and shit in a tunnel, and that shit was straight out of Alien. I was like, oh,
So just so Tony made a gauntlet,
yeah.
which is let's talk about
The
this.
the Iron Man one size fits all Infinity Gauntlet.
So Tony makes a gauntlet for the stones, right? Which begs the question, why the fuck did they have to go to a space forge to get this shit made in the first place? Can you just make a gauntlet out of anything?
Well, Tony Stark is smart, and Thanos is not. Well, he's not. He's
Okay,
not. He's
that's
not.
fair.
He's not engineering smart. He has to get somebody else to build shit for him.
But I mean, think about it. This gauntlet, it burned up after the snap, right? So it's made of fucking space
Yeah.
magic shit. Peter Dinklage, Tyrion armor, I don't know, but has to make this, and then it's so important that he puts his hands in gold or something so he can't do anything for anyone else ever until Thor shows up and gets Stormbreaker made. And Iron Man just makes a fucking gauntlet that can handle this. I kind of had a problem with that. But my biggest problem in all of this,
Is this the whole
possibly
movie?
the whole movie is not the gauntlet. It's the fact that fucking Thanos came back in time with Pym particles. How? How did he bring his whole fucking ship back in time or forward in time? How?
I thought like he locked on to past Nebula or something, and she like set up a fucking time. I don't know, man. I don't.
For them to go back in time, they had to open a portal, wear special suits, and have the Pym particles and navigate the quantum realm. Somehow Thanos can take a ship the size of Weehawken, New Jersey through the quantum realm and do all of this.
Fucking, I don't know, because comics?
It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. That is arguably my biggest complaint in the film. It's dumb. And I get that they had to find a way to bring him back, but it was dumb. It's almost as dumb as the shit that happened in Game of Thrones, but we're not even going to get to talk about that.
Darn.
So, darn for Zach. Anyway, barring my complaints, Thanos shows up, rains fire on the Avengers base. Hawkeye is under gravel, manages to escape, gets the gauntlet, and is running from the Chitauri in a very Aliens-esque scene.
It was a cool scene.
He's trying to escape.
I can't lie, that was a cool ass scene.
Yeah, so we're getting to the end of the film now, and I'm going to let Zach take it up from here, even though we're so close to the end, we're probably just going to talk over each other again.
Yeah, let's see. From there, the big battle scene, a big battle scene leads up to a bigger one of Thor wielding Mjolnir and Stormbreaker at the same time, which is fucking awesome. He's still kind of fat, still kind of schlubby, but I thought that was really cool that he didn't get transformed back, becoming worthy again. I like that he's just like that the whole movie. I really liked that.
He's got to work that off.
He fucking has his beard braided though. Looks real nice. Then let's see. It's like him and
him, Cap, and Iron Man just fucking going at it.
Oh wait, we skipped something. We skipped something fucking major. Before raining down hell,
the snap?
Yeah, Hulk stuck on the fucking Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet, and it fucks him up really bad. But he snapped, and like he undid Thanos' snap, and that
because they realized that in doing the snap and using that much energy, like it's gamma radiation that just completely wrecks you, which is why Thanos looked really messed up
in the very beginning.
At the end of Infinity War and the beginning of this. And then like when Hulk does it, it wrecks his right side.
Yeah, he's
like whatever side he snapped on.
He's basically one arm fighting the rest of the movie. Even has it in like a sling and everything at the end, but yeah, he did that.
Yeah, and even then, like you don't see him that much in the final battle scene. He's kind of out of commission.
But then Thanos like shows up from fucking time warp again and rains down fire. But yeah, so it's the big battle between like Hulk, Cap, Thor, the big players, Iron Man. They're all fighting Thanos and all that. And
Can we talk about the fact that Thanos managed to hold all three of them off using normal armor and a weapon, but in Infinity War he had the gauntlet with 3 of the stones and couldn't fight them?
I don't know. 5 years younger Thanos? I don't know, because movies.
These are flimsy excuses, Zach, but let's continue.
I mean, he does have a helicopter fucking propeller as a weapon. I mean,
it's the 3 of them fighting.
Yeah, they're all fighting him. So Captain America is getting everyone's getting kind of wrecked by Thanos.
Yeah, Tony fucking busts out like the Max Extremis armor or whatever, and like super lasers him, gets charged by Thor and like blasts him with laser and doesn't fucking hurt him. Then Thor's going at him with Stormbreaker and Mjolnir and it's not doing anything.
Fucking at one point Thanos has Thor on the ropes, about to push Stormbreaker's blade right into Thor. And then fucking wham! Gets hit with Mjolnir. Who has Mjolnir, Josh?
Captain
fucking America wielding Mjolnir. The
Thor just looks over and just goes, I knew it!
He was so happy. He was so happy, and like so many people just cheered in the theater.
Yeah, man, that's the scene from the comics.
Yep.
Like I had been waiting to see that shit.
But
Cap, like, admittedly doesn't really beat Thanos, but like rocks the shit out of him for a few
rising
minutes.
uppercuts the shit out of him with Mjolnir.
Fucking lightning Hadoken,
Yeah.
and then just like fucking drops the lightning on him and shit. Loved it.
But more fighting than. At one point, everyone gets their ass beat so bad, it's just like Cap standing with like half a shield and Mjolnir.
yeah,
And like Thanos is like, it's never been personal, but just this once, I'm going to enjoy crushing this planet.
Dude, Josh Brolin, like, god damn, that man is so good as Thanos and Cable. I really hope he comes back as Cable for Deadpool.
So he's just like
so good.
Brings in the he like whistles for like his whole army's gonna fucking swarm Cap. It's gonna be over, and then fucking all these sorcerer portals open up, and fucking suddenly everybody who got snapped away, Wakanda's back. Every fucking Scarlet Witch, everyone important who ever got snapped away fucking shows up all at once, and it is a great fucking scene.
There's no way for us to accurately describe this
Dude,
battle
I
scene.
was just like I was sitting there like fucking excited. I was like pawing at Misty's arm. I was like, ah! It was so fucking
like it's just it is the battle that every little kid who has ever enjoyed superheroes has thought about. Like, what if X fought X with this? And like it was so good. And I love the scene with where it's got Doctor Strange and his buddy there, and it's just like, Doctor, is that everybody? He's like, do you want more?
Do you want more?
Like,
fucking all of Wakanda show. Oh my god, it was a great scene.
Yeah, fucking Black Panther like fucking shows up and like saves the day. There's so the scene is like them trying to get the gauntlet.
Yeah, they're basically relay race, handing it off. Like Hawkeye hands it off to like Spider-Man.
Peter gets it and he's like swinging around and stuff, and then he passes it over to he passes it to
Black Panther.
Black Panther.
And he does.
Black Panther starts wrecking shit with like his vibranium.
Oh yeah,
suit
his fucking
and, like,
kinetic energy shield, and just fucking.
Yeah, you just see like fucking enemies
he fucking
flying off.
Spartan armor locks into a group of people.
Yeah. What happens if I miss? I
won't.
Yeah, it's like, and then he passed it off to Peter, and there's like this whole scene with like them, like him trying to get it over to people, and there's a lot that goes down here. It's very hard to cover all of it.
It's impossible.
I do want to give a shout out to Scarlet Witch,
dude.
For
Scarlet Witch
single-handedly killing Thanos.
Did that, or did she do that, or then was it Captain Marvel that showed up? Because at one point, Captain Marvel just, here I am again to help, and just...
So, hold on. I know what you're talking about. Give me one second. So, Scarlet Witch shows up, and she's like, you took everything
Thanos
from me.
like, bitch, I don't even know you.
It was like, I don't even know who you are. And she's just like, you will. And just wrecks his shit. Like, there's this scene where like she's crushing him with boulders and like lifts him up.
Fucking
and is
chaos magic
him.
is wrecking him.
Yeah, and is literally crushing Thanos, and in his last breath, he's like rain fire.
Yeah, and fucking has him do it again. Fucking just missiles all over the place.
And then out of nowhere, who the fuck shows up to destroy the enemy ship? But
the fucking win button, Captain Marvel. And she shows up. Go ahead.
Like Captain Marvel. I want to like Captain Marvel. It's so hard to do.
This was another thing Macon said that I thought was really funny. Then Captain Marvel shows up and is a black hole of charisma, and Deus Ex Machina's out of there. I want to like her
Marvel
too.
shows
I
up,
do. I want to like the character. She just isn't.
The funny thing is like Captain Marvel has shown up at the end of the only 2 films she's ever been in and done the exact same thing, flown through enemy spaceships to destroy them. Like the end of Captain Marvel and the end of Endgame are exactly the same.
She's basically Superman.
And she shows up, and there's this one last scene where all of like the female characters. Oh god,
this is
like you've got
This is my of all the complaints, Captain Marvel being a major complaint, and this. Go ahead.
I mentioned earlier that there's a scene that I felt was shoehorned into the film because it just feels awkward. There's a scene where I think it was Peter, right? Wasn't he trying to get it there? It was just like, I need help. It was like, you'll have help.
No,
or
no, it was
whatever.
Captain Marvel. She was the one with the gauntlet zooming through, and someone's like, or yeah, maybe Peter's like someone. It was like, you're gonna need some help.
Yeah, Captain Marvel was helping him, but
Yeah,
then
yeah,
like
yeah.
somebody was like, I need help. It was like, you'll have help. And then Pepper shows up in the armor that Tony makes her, and there's Shuri there, and the like the Wakandan captain, and like all the other major female characters. And it's supposed to be I guess like a girl power moment.
I turned
just doesn't.
I turned to Misty and I
It
go,
just go on.
"Go team, girl squad."
It feels so fucking awkward.
Yeah.
Like, I would have rather, instead of you forcing all of them into one scene, why not just let us see them kicking ass throughout the entire battle?
I mean,
Like-
think about it. Like I said before, they pushed all the female characters kind of aside, except for like Nebula and Black Widow, and then Black Widow fucking died, and it's just, and then all the other female characters that didn't get snapped away, they all showed up at once, and
Instead of having all of the female characters help escort this character to get to the end point, I was thinking about this. Instead of also having Captain Marvel just fucking comet through the spaceship, why not just have all them work together to destroy the spaceship? At least the ones that can fly. Like, wouldn't that make sense? Like, have Scarlet Witch and Pepper with her Iron Woman suit, and Captain Marvel and anyone else that is capable of attacking a spaceship go up there and just start wrecking this shit. Give me like 5 minutes, maybe 10, of them just like strafing that shit with energy and rockets and blowing up. Let me see them doing things that isn't just, oh, we're gonna help you get there. That scene made me irrationally angry
they could have
because
naturally woven these characters into this, and like it was just, it felt forced, and it was really disappointing. Like,
I see so many people on
want
Twitter
more
like talking
cool
about this
female
scene
characters, and
it's I like I said, I see so many people on Twitter talking about how this is like supposed to be a feminist, like a female empowerment scene, and
It's pandering.
it's pandering. I'm willing to accept that, you know, little girls going to see this are going to see that scene and it's going to mean something to them, and I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with are like grown women and everything saying that this is acceptable. It's not. It's really not. If you're going to say that you want female empowerment and you want more representation, then there should be more of it in the film that isn't just a 5 minute scene of all of the female characters getting together and like working as a unit just to make it convenient for the sake of the story.
yeah,
If you're going to say that it's not right to shoehorn one gay character into a scene with Captain America talking about his date, then it's not okay to do the same thing with like 12 fucking female superheroes at the end of the biggest superhero film in history. I'm not even well, I guess anyone that believes in female rights is technically a feminist on some level, but like,
Not extreme.
I'm not an extreme feminist, but I feel like they could have done so much more with that.
and
So much
and
fucking
like
more.
their biggest like female powerhouse character, they use as a Deus Ex Machina, and then she gets punched. By the way, she just gets punched by Thanos, and she's just gone for the rest of the movie.
I liked that. I like seeing her vulnerable. Like, I don't like this idea that Captain Marvel is fucking invulnerable. So I did like to see that she was getting into the fight a little bit. But anyway, that's enough of me ranting.
Yeah. But yeah, from there, like I said, fucking what happened after that? Like
Thanos wrestles with them and gets the gauntlet.
right.
And there is a scene where Tony flies up and like goes to stop him, and it's there. He looks over to Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange just holds up one finger.
Because
kind of tell him, like, you know,
earlier he's like he's talking to
he
Strange.
had asked him like, is
this the one that we win?
Yeah,
He's like, if I
yeah.
tell you, it won't happen.
yeah, and then it's. You know, Thanos like has the gauntlet. Like he looks over to Doctor Strange, like holds up this one finger, and Tony like flies over and
Wrestles with him.
like wrestles with him. And the only way I could assume how this worked is because like the way Tony works with nanomachines, that we've seen him absorb other parts of suits, that because it was an Iron Man gauntlet he had on,
Yeah.
that he was able to literally just by touching it pull that into his hand.
Yeah,
That's
probably as good as explanation as any, honestly. I guess it really doesn't matter.
yeah. So anyway, Thanos snaps and nothing happens, and he looks at the gauntlet and realizes the
Fucking
stones
empty.
aren't there, and then he looks over to Tony, and Tony's got the gauntlet.
Oh, you missed.
And
But fucking hold on. Fucking Thanos goes, when he goes to snap, he goes, I told you, I am inevitable. And then fucking, you take it away. This is your superhero.
So he says, I'm inevitable, snaps, nothing happens. He looks over to Tony. Tony's got the stones. Just, I am Iron Man. Like the first motto from the first film. And he snaps, and it's...
Fucking...
Let's start getting emotional again. Like,
let it all out, man. Fucking...
So Tony sacrifices himself to save everyone, basically.
He snaps away Thanos and the entire army. And by the way, fuck people with cell phones in theaters, because the person in front of me whips out their cell phone right as Thanos sits down and like looking at his army getting like fucking disintegrating. And the guy whips out his phone down right in front of me. I glance down because it just catches my attention. It's a blinding ass light. And then I look up and Thanos is already dusted away. I was like, a fucking lightning rod for all my hate. I was so pissed. Oh, I was so mad.
So,
Anyway, go
as
ahead.
Zach just stated, he snapped Thanos'
Fucking
army
snap
away.
that
And
piece
then
of
that's
shit out of the way is what I'm going to do.
the last real scene on the battlefield that we have is like Tony bleeding from like his nose and his ear and I think his eye. I don't remember. Maybe not his eye, but
I think it was his brow. But yeah.
and he's just like he's not there.
Yeah,
and Pepper goes up and like she's talking to him,
bravo
and
for
just,
them
like,
for
you know,
that scene though. Like I was gonna be, I would kind of expect him like to have the cliche like, you gotta do the thing and hold on to what you love, and like this, you know, the long drawn out death scene. The thing fucking Deadpool 2 made fun of so hard.
Yeah.
But they didn't. He's fucking, at one point I'm like, is he already dead? He's just sitting there. He's not doing anything. And then
he was gone.
And then like Pepper gets up to him just like, we're gonna be fine. We'll be okay. And I'm like,
oh, that fucking
yeah.
shit killed
And so
me.
I'm like, bravo for them not doing a
Anyone
cliche
who's
death
had
scene.
Someone passing away knows that.
Yeah, like. Did you want to say something, Mari?
It killed me because it definitely has that moment of like anyone who's had someone in hospice care or someone who's passed away.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Oh, you're gonna take it there.
Yeah, it was.
Oof.
You know, you don't get the sassy Tony Stark, the Iron Man that quips, you know, back. You have this guy passing, you know,
Yeah.
and he's a fighter, so he doesn't want to just give up. But then his wife is basically telling him, "It's okay. We're gonna be okay. You can go. You know." And
then yeah,
that's just the moment that you realize this is a human moment, but with superheroes. You know, this is just a guy.
please don't start crying on the podcast.
I have tears.
Okay, well then we're done. We're gonna
but
move
I'm
on.
not gonna choke up.
We're gonna move on before you start crying. I
It's
can't edit
already
out
there.
crying.
It's already there.
So
From there.
yeah, so Tony sacrifices himself to save everybody, and the last real thing to talk about is Cap agrees to return the Infinity Stones to their original timeline, which was part of the agreement with the Master from Doctor Strange, so that way there is the balance with the stones again.
They're right back where they
And,
should be.
Yeah, so we have Tony's funeral. Real quick, we'll go over this. It's one thing I'm curious about what this scene is. So for Tony's funeral, the first thing you really see is the proof that he has a heart with the arc reactor, like going out on a wreath over the water, and then it cuts back to, it shows Pepper. What I want to know is if this was one continuous shot or if they were just CG'd in there. Because you see like it go between all the characters. It goes from like Pepper, you know, to Cap, to Thor, Captain Marvel's there. You see Rhodey. What I thought was interesting, that boy in the back, the one who you didn't really
He's
notice.
the one that from Iron Man 3.
From Iron Man 3. Yep, the little boy that he saved in the garage.
Which fucking I had to look that up because I sure as hell didn't know who he was supposed to be.
And then the last scene we have at his funeral is the Jon Favreau, who's one of the directors. I mean, he's been in a lot of the movies, so he doesn't really count. But he's sitting there with his daughter, and he just asks her, like, do you want something to eat? It's like, she wants cheeseburgers, and that's a nod to the first Iron Man. Like, when he gets back, he wanted a cheeseburger. He's like, I'm gonna get you all the cheeseburgers you want.
Yeah,
and that kind of got to me. Not gonna lie. So then we go to Captain America, wrapping everything up, agreeing to go back and put the stones back in their timeline, and
he was supposed to
goes back.
Yeah, he's supposed to go back in time, and then he's supposed to be back in 5 seconds. 5 seconds pass, he's not back.
Yep, and then they look over to the lake, and there's a man sitting on a bench, and this was a problem I had with the film, and I'm assuming it's going to tie into the Disney series that's coming out. But anyway, do you want to talk about this scene?
Yeah, so there's a man sitting on a bench looking out on the lake. They Bucky and what's his name? Falcon? What's Falcon? Yeah. I can't remember the character's real name, but Falcon go over there, and
I know the actor's name. I can't remember
Falcon's real name or the character's real name, but goes over there, and it is a elderly Steve Rogers. Instead of just time jumping back after he did his mission, he decided to
Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson, thank you. He decided to, meet up with the woman he left back in the 40s at the end of the first one. What's that character's name?
Agent
Carter. Carter, and, made...
Is it Margaret? Was that her
Margaret
name?
Carter?
Margaret
that
Carter?
Sounds right.
Margaret, I don't know about the last name.
Maybe Peggy
Carter's
Carter.
Her last name. I couldn't remember her first name.
First name's Margaret.
Peggy Carter.
Peggy Carter.
You sure it's
Her
Peggy?
name is Peggy, but on the door it said Margaret.
Whatever. We'll just say fucking Agent Carter. And I know that.
But anyway, he decided to make a life and everything. Lived out all of that time up until 2000 whatever. And lived out his best years with her. Decided to try living for once, is I think is how he put it. And they're like, well...
So my question with this scene was, if he went back and lived all that time with her, he knew what was going to happen with world events and everything. So, the Red Letter Media talked about this, and I thought it was kind of funny, because I thought about it after the movie, where, if he knew everything was going to happen in New York with, the evasion for the first Avengers movie, and, all the other shit that goes down... Why couldn't he warn anybody?
I guess he didn't want to fuck up timeline bullshit, and I guess he figured there's already a Captain America here to do that. It's past me being Captain America. I guess they don't...
Oh my god, we forgot to talk about America's ass.
Oh, America's ass. That's America's ass. We kind of breezed through because they all went back to New York.
Yeah.
During the big invasion,
it's
but
fine.
It's no
Go
big deal.
see the movie. But yeah, so
they've
keep going. Captain America.
They've already seen the fucking movie if they've listened to us this long.
Yeah,
but
this is the longest one we've ever done. This is almost 2 hours
worth
long.
It though. So yeah, he's like, I lived my life. I fucking had a family, had a good life. And Falcon's like, well, someone's gonna need to be Captain America. The world needs a Captain America. And he's just like, yeah, about that, and just hands him the shield.
Try it on.
Yeah, try it on. He's like, doesn't feel right. It will. Or it doesn't quite fit. He's like, don't worry, it will.
So my thing with this is I know that Falcon in the comics takes up the mantle of Captain America at some point. But so does Bucky.
Yeah.
And it made more sense for me that Bucky would have done it with this his TV series coming up, because I just can't see Falcon as a headline character in a movie.
I guess because Bucky's already Winter Soldier. I don't know. Maybe they drew straws.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not a huge gripe. I mean, we'll see what happens with it.
I'm sure.
But yeah, so that's pretty much pretty much it.
Yeah.
And there was not a post-credit scene for this.
There was a 3-second.
There was post-audio.
There was a 3-second sound clip of a hammer being hit on some metal, presumably.
It's Tony making his armor.
It's
from the first Iron Man with him in the cave.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I heard people were like, "Oh, it's Mjolnir." Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I can't think of what it is, and if it's hinting at something to come, I still can't think of what it is. But yeah, I guess.
Nah, because the Feige brothers had already said that like Endgame is the end of this part of the story. Like they weren't putting any hints toward anything. Like we've seen subtle hints in the other series about things that could happen. Like we saw the Eternals pop up, or the Immortals pop up before. But no, they said there was no post credit with this. It was just this was the end of this chapter.
Can I just say I hope they don't do another saga. This was great, and who knows we'll ever see anything quite like it.
What do you mean another saga?
Like, I hope there's not another 10-year linked movie franchise thing. Like,
of course there's fucking gonna be. Phase 4 is next. What the
I don't
fuck
want
makes
there
you
to
think
be, man. I just want there to be individual movies now.
$22 billion fucking dollars in the box
know,
office. You think Disney's gonna be like, you know what? I respect this series enough to let it go. No,
how
they're gonna
much
drain
are
this shit
people gonna
until it's
care?
Star Wars dead.
How much are
What do you
people
have
gonna
the next
care
Iron
about
Man?
it after Endgame, though?
Zach, you seem to forget. It doesn't matter how much we care. We're not the people they're selling it to.
I mean, I'm gonna see Far From Home. I mean, I'm gonna see it.
I don't. I'm gonna see it because we see movies for free mostly. But I'm waiting to see X-Men introduced into this, and preferably Deadpool.
Man,
So
I
we'll see
don't.
what
I don't know
happens,
what's
but
gonna happen with that, because boy, does Dark Phoenix look bad.
That is a whole other conversation for a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But to summarize all of this, Avengers Endgame, not a bad movie at all. I'd put it as a solid 8 out of 10.
I loved it. I think at the time, I gave it a solid 9, because my biggest issue was, nitpicking aside, my biggest issue was how they handled Captain Marvel and the whole, just shoving all the girls over to the side until they get that one scene. And that was my big issue. I've had nitpicks here and there, but fucking who doesn't?
I have issues with Thanos time traveling as well as the female stuff at the end, but I still love this movie. I would recommend it to anyone. I'm probably going to go see it again Saturday because Junin wants to see it.
Did you?
Also, while I have you here, the original Batman is going to be in theaters this week.
I heard about that. Did you like Infinity War or Endgame more? Because I haven't heard anyone.
Oh, definitely Endgame.
You liked Endgame more?
I feel like I think I like it being the end to everything. I feel like Infinity War had a much tighter story.
That's what I was gonna say. I think Infinity War was better put together. There didn't feel like there was any fat on Infinity War, Like everything felt like it was there for a reason.
They also had balls to end that movie the way they did. Like, we just killed off half of the people you love. Fuck off. We'll see
I
in a
guess
year.
this is the difference between Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. Which did you like more?
Well, Empire was a vastly superior movie to Return of the Jedi. We can have this conversation another time, but I think this is as good a time as any to end it, because we are pushing 2 hours.
Yeah, this is going to be fun for you to eventually upload in the next 3 months.
So, Avengers Endgame. Great movie. Recommend it to everybody.
Yes.
A very good
As much as we bitched, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I still love the movie. I may have hated what happened with time traveling stuff and with the representation of the female characters in this. It's still an astounding accomplishment.
Oh God, there hasn't never been a movie like this.
Yeah, it broke every record.
I knew it would be. Oh
End
no,
of
I
story
absolutely
today.
knew it would be breaking.
It did. It's coming for you, Avatar, and it's gonna hit you. It's gonna hit you like a superhero powered truck, much like I'm gonna hit this end button because we're gonna end it right now. Zach, do your thing.
Goodbye and good night.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Later.